Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamilitan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Utreti Tan Maitaya Taravo Vinedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanatasmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayumudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptashtakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitam Sharanam Prapanna Vinde Namaste Charanara Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So, I'm going to continue hearing about the glories of Srimati Radharani, and we will first offer our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Parapadma Nityalita Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasto Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Parapadma Nityalita Bhavishta Om Vishnu Padasto Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupanu Guru Varga, and all the humble Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. So, yesterday we read a beautiful article by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada, and it was from the introduction to the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very significant explanation about Radha Tattva and Mahaprabhu, his Tattva, the way in which his internal identity as Srimati Radharani was manifested in his Leela. His Leela and Krishna's Leela have many parallels, but it has its own distinct specialities as well. Anyway, today we're going to hear from Srila Prabhupada once again, and this is from an excerpt from Chapter 5 of Elevation to Krishna Consciousness, a small booklet. And this is something we would pass out to everybody. And so what does elevation to Krishna consciousness mean? Let's hear what he says. So, Srila Prabhupada says that we are Krishna's parts and parcels, and have been created to give pleasure to Krishna. That means that's our dharma, right? Everything that exists is called a vastu. Right? This is, from Jaiva Dharma, the explanations of Babaji Maharaj to Sannyasi Thakur, that everything that's created is called a vastu, and all vastus have an innate quality, right, that defines them. And that innate quality is their dharma. And so Srila Prabhupada said here, we are created to give pleasure to Krishna. When we align with that, then we become truly enlightened, truly happy. And he explains that the chief pleasure potency is Radharani. And so Radha-Krishna are always together. Whereas the material energy is conducted by the external potency, Maya, the spiritual world is conducted by the internal potency, Radharani. Right. The external energy, Mahamaya, is an expansion of the internal potency, Mahamaya, which has a function expanded from Srimati Radhika herself. She is the complete internal potency. So, we often pray to Radharani because she is the pleasure potency of Krishna. The very word Krishna means all attractive. But Radharani is so great that she attracts Krishna. Right? Krishna is called Madan Mohan. Radhika is called Madan Mohan Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. Krishna is so beautiful, he attracts even the transcendental Cupid. Becomes bewildered and overwhelmed by Krishna's beauty. But Radhika is so beautiful that she attracts even Krishna. And that Krishna describes that in the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela. Speaking, I'm so, it's a reflection upon seeing his own reflection in the jeweled pillar. He becomes astonished at how beautiful he is, and then on further contemplation, he says, I am the most beautiful person ever. And I could only be attracted by someone who's 100 times more attractive than me. And yet I find myself attracted to Srimati Radharani. So that means Radharani is more attractive than Krishna, because he says I could only be attracted to someone who's more attractive than me 100 times. And then he thinks, but then if my mindset is I could only be attracted in that way to someone who's more attractive to me, then why is she attracted to me in the way she is? As my beloved, what does she see in me? When she looks at me through her eyes of love, how does she see me? And that puts him on that path. And then she's also experiencing more pleasure than me. I am, Atmaram, Aptakam, everybody's serving me. I exchange love and experience happiness from receiving the love of all the devotees, not only in Vrindavan, and Dwarka, and Goloka Vrindavan, all the different kinds of living entities, and in Vaikuntha. And I'm Rasa Vaisaha, I'm composed of Rasa itself. But somehow I see that Radharani is experiencing even greater pleasure than me. Okay? So what is it to be the devotee, and what is the pleasure she's experiencing? Right? So that's Mahaprabhu coming to taste and experience that. Krishna's not complete unless he can experience everything. So Radha and Krishna are separated in order to experience pastimes together of love. Right? This is the very nature of their union, is pure, exalted, unlimited love in their pastimes together. And Mahaprabhu is that special form of Krishna that is able to taste that love of Radharani, even though he is Krishna himself. We can hear it, we can repeat it. Realization comes slowly. So, Srila Prabhupada says the word Krishna means all attractive, but Radharani is so great that she attracts Krishna. If Krishna is always attractive to everyone, and Radharani is attractive to Krishna, how can we imagine the position of Srimati Radharani? We should try humbly to understand and offer her our obeisance, saying, Radharani, you are so dear to Krishna. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are Krishna's beloved. We offer our respectful obeisance unto you. So many prayers like that, but like Tapta Kanchana Gaudangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu, Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Priya. Right? You are Hari Priya. So, Radharani is very dear to Krishna, and if we approach Krishna through the mercy of Radharani, we can easily attain him. If Radharani recommends a devotee, Krishna immediately accepts him, however foolish he may be. Consequently, in Vrindavan, we find that devotees chant Radharani's name more often than Krishna's. Wherever we go in India, we find devotees calling Jai Radhe. We should be more interested in worshiping Radharani. For however fallen we may be, if somehow or other we can please her, we can very easily understand Krishna. Who can say that Srila Prabhupada is not a follower of Srimati Radharani? He weaves it in different places. I mean, obviously he's not speaking solely about Srimati Radhika and the intimate service to her by her Sakis, because this is very high. This is conclusive Tattva, the final, most elevated conceptions, and he's presenting bhakti for the entire world from A to Z, right? But so many places, if you look, therefore, we should worship Radharani, right? And how do you worship Radharani ultimately? Right? In our line, following from Rupa Goswami, right? That he gave, there's no question that Rupa Goswami is the topmost Palyadasi of Srimati Radhika, and that we are, as Rupanugas, are aspiring to enter into that kind of seva. Srila Prabhupada said we are Rupanugas. That doesn't mean that some people may come and aspire for different moods. Mahaprabhu's very broad. His movement encompasses everyone. One of the specialities of Mahaprabhu's movement is that whereas most of the incarnations appear with their own specific devotees. Even Krishna, when he appeared in Vrindavan, in Braj, he has his own Braj Basis. In Mathura and Dwarka, he has other devotees that are aligned with worshiping him in that way. Right? And as Lord Ram, he has so many devotees worshiping him in a specific way. And all the different incarnations appear with their own devotees. But Mahaprabhu, when he appears, because he is Krishna and because all the different incarnations are within him, and because he is giving the means of perfection in the Kali Yuga for all people, he has devotees that are devotees of the different incarnations and avatars as well. And that same holy name can give perfection in any of these different modes of worship. Right? Mahaprabhu has very dear devotees, as devotees of Lord Ram, as devotees of Lakshmi Narayan, many of his intimate associates. But his most intimate associates and those of Nityananda are Brajbasis, right? And among them, the most intimate are the ones who are the assistants and servants of Srimati Radhika, like Ramananda Roy, Srup Damodar, and the Goswamis, headed by Rupa and Sanatan, who are who are identify they are actually gopis. So, we may find many people inclined, and actually, when you take up bhakti in the beginning, you may be worshiping in so many ways. You're attracted to so many leelas, and there's nothing wrong with that. Reading Ram Leela and being enlivened by that, reading about Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, this is all good. But as you advance in bhakti, you may find yourself, especially when you finally come to first ruchi, but as ruchi matures, you're first attracted to bhajan in a very broad way, all the limbs of bhakti. Then as it becomes more condensed and rich, you become attracted to the object of bhajan. And that object of bhajan, as deep attachment develops in the stage of asakti, your own innate quality will begin to manifest in your heart. And then it becomes self-evident. And through exchange and confidential talks with your guru, Sri Guru, then your internal identity becomes confirmed, and you then get instruction of how to develop your bhajan specifically to enrich and accelerate that understanding, right? But for the most part, we are Rupanugas. Most people that are following Mahaprabhu, will be Rupanugas, at least in our direct line from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. So, if we try to understand, if somehow or other we can please her, Srimati Radharani, we can very easily understand Krishna. If we try to understand Krishna by the speculative process, we will have to spend many lifetimes of speculation. But if we take to devotional service and just try to please Radharani, then Krishna can be very easily realized. Radharani is such a great devotee that she can deliver Krishna. Who delivers Krishna? Sri Guru, right? So Radharani is actually the original Guru. Right? Even Krishna cannot understand Radharani's qualities. He fails to understand her because she is so great. In order to understand Radharani, Krishna actually accepted her position. Krishna thought, although I am full and complete in every respect, I still do not understand Radharani. Why is that? This obliged Krishna to accept the propensities of Radharani, and this accounts for his manifestation as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he is Krishna accepting the propensities of Radharani. Radharani is always feeling separation from Krishna. And similarly, in the position of Radharani, Lord Chaitanya was always feeling that separation. Furthermore, those who follow the teachings of Lord Chaitanya should experience and relish the feelings of separation, not of meeting. Right, that means in our bhajan, as Mahaprabhu exhibited in the Gambhira, he's experiencing a separation. Right? But then it may be said, how can we experience separation from Krishna? We've never met him. How can you experience separation from someone you've never met? Well, there's a few considerations. On the one hand, we're cultivating gradually. We may get an abhas, a shadow of that, by reading and hearing about the meeting and separation of Krishna and his great devotees. Some appreciation and understanding may come. But bhakti is taught and revealed to us by Sri Guru, who Sri Guru sakshad haritve nasamasta shastra, right? He is empowered like Krishna himself. And so first we develop a very deep and intimate relationship with Sri Guru. And those same spiritual sentiments that we're striving to develop with Radha and Krishna will develop first towards our Guru, and he, by his mercy, because he's a representative of Radharani, he can give us Radha and Krishna. Right? And so when we read articles like Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj and others, Srila Prabhupada, writing about their separation of their own from their own guru, we begin to detect, according to our understanding and eligibility, the profound sentiments that they're tasting in relationship to their guru. It's extraordinary. And it makes you want to have that same kind of deep love for your guru that they have, right? Because that will connect us. And so this idea of separation, this is why we celebrate these disappearance days of our gurus. Actually, the disappearance day, it may create even more profound feelings than the appearance day. Actually, they're non-different, but at the appearance day, this is glorious. Sri Guru has appeared, but at the disappearance day, he has manifested all his leela, all his contributions, everything has happened. When he first appears, nobody knows who they are or what they're going to do, right? But on the disappearance day, everything has been revealed. So our ability to experience separation will come through the grace of Guru when we develop that Vishrambena Guru Seva, when we become very intimate, where casting aside all of our separate interests, anya bilashita shunya, when the interest of Sri Guru becomes our only concern, right? then the Manubhishta, the desire of Sri Guru, becomes our desire, becomes our Manubhishta. That's Vishwambhena Guru Seva. Whatever Guru wants, that becomes our life and soul. Right now, we can feel like that a few minutes a day. Right? Okay, I'm enlivened by this service. Guru's given it to me, but most of the day we spend pursuing separate interests. Or even when we're doing seva, we've not yet developed attachment and affection for that seva and the relationship of that seva coming from Guru. But service does it. I mean, we're not chanting the holy name yet. Our senses are not sufficiently purified. But what? Atak Sri Krishna namadi nabhamadgrayam indriyai sevan mukhe hi jivadao swayameva sparatido. By service and by constant chanting of the holy name, that capacity will come. Sarva upadi vinir muktam tat padat vena nirmalam rishikena sevanam bhaktiruchite. When one begins to engage oneself, engage one's senses in the service of the master of the senses, then all these sarva upadis, these false designations, will fall away. That's what we really need. We need these designations to fall away because the identification with this body is so uncomfortable, so distracting, so annoying, right? It's such an impediment. But if we really force ourselves every day to stay disciplined, stay engaged in service, chanting, hearing. I'm speaking to myself. I know you're all, like that. But for me, I'm just praying for this, determination. That at least first to the stage of Nishta, Guru Nishta, and then a taste awakening, Ruchi. Anyway, this is, so Srila Prabhupada is teaching, relish the feelings of separation, not of me. Not that we're not aspiring for meeting. Remember that meeting and separation are parts of the same coin, right? Separation drives Radha and Krishna towards meeting. And meeting is so glorious. And then in meeting, the fear of separation is a kind of separation, and that creates incredible feelings. You can't separate the two. They're part and parcel. You can't experience separation without understanding the joy of meeting, right? And vice versa. So the Goswamis, disciples of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most perfect and highly elevated beings, never said, I have seen Krishna. Instead, they constantly cried, where is Radharani? Where are Lalita and Vishaka and the other damsels of Vrindavan? Right? Said Goswami Astakam. Hey Radhe Brajadevi Ke Chalalite. Hey Nanda Suno Kata. Right? In their mature stage of love of Godhead, when they were living in Vrindavan, the Goswamis would also cry, Radharani, where are you? Where are your associates? Where are you? Oh, son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all? In this way, they were searching after Krishna. And they never at any time said, last night I saw Krishna dancing with the gopis. Such claims are not made by mature devotees, but by one who takes things very cheaply. Right? To get that kind of vision of Radha and Krishna. I mean, sometimes you hear people saying, oh, I had this vision of Radha and Krishna. Even pure devotees, even Mahaprabhu, how many times did he admit to seeing Krishna directly? Very rarely, and in the throes of some incredible internal consciousness. On the beach of Jagannath Puri, when he had been missing and they finally found him and they chanted for some hours to bring him out of that. And he said, oh, why have you called me? I was with Krishna and Radharani and everything was so beautiful. Right? And Vilap Kushmanjali, Raghunath Das reveals something of his internal visions of serving Radha and Krishna. Right? But this is very confidential, very rare. And people who speak about this very freely, he's saying this is cheap. What does cheap mean? Prakrita sahaja. Not real sahaja, prakrita sahaja. So, some people think that Radha and Krishna are so cheap that they may be seen every night. But this is not the teaching of the Goswamis, who are always searching after Krishna, crying, "Where are you? Where are you, Radharani? Where are you, Krishna? Are you there by Govardhan Hill? Are you on the bank of the Jamuna?" In this way, throughout the whole tract of Vrindavan, the Goswamis were crying and searching after Radha and Krishna like madmen. Nityananda Prabhu, Mahaprabhu, they both went to Vrindavan and experienced symptoms like this. You read books like, what is that? By Narahari Sarkar, that tells about Narottam Das, Srinivasacharya. What is the name of that book? Begins with a B. Anyway, it'll come to me after I'm finished with this. Anyway, talking about the pursuit, the times in Vrindavan, how they were practicing, going here and there, and going on parikram, going to this holy place, going to that holy place. We have to follow in the footprints of the Goswamis and search out Radha and Krishna in this way. Vrindavan is in our hearts, and we must search for him there. That's a very high statement. Vrindavan is in our hearts, and we must search for him there. This is the process recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the process of worship in separation. Feeling separation from Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would throw himself into the sea. Sometimes he would leave his room in the dead of night and disappear. No one would know where he had gone, but all the while he was searching after Krishna. Thus, it is not that we are to enjoy the loving exchanges between Krishna and Radha like spectators at some sports show. Yeah, this is a very lesser idea that, let's, hear about Krishna Leela and just, Certainly we take pleasure in Radha and Krishna Leela, but really what should be awakening in our heart is intense hankering to be in their service, right? Or even more, to be in the service of their great servants, right? To aspire to somehow or other be in the company of our gurus in that realm, in our eternal identity, right? But being very humble and feeling very unqualified, right? This is so high, it's not easily accessible. Vaikuntha, you may get to in one lifetime, like Ajamil, by his chanting, was able to acquire the Vaikuntha realm in one lifetime. But to go to, look what Gopakumar went through. How many millions of years did it take Gopakumar through so many experiences, up in all the different planetary systems, being Lord Indra, living on Janaloka and Tapaloka, Maharaloka, through one night of Lord Brahma, meditating, waiting for the day, becoming Lord Brahma, and finally leaving that, going through the different layers of the universe, seeing the Brahma Jyoti, staying in Vaikuntha, going to Dwarka. Finally, his greed and the mercy of his guru brought him to Vrindavan. Right? So rare, so high. Thus, it is not that we're trying to enjoy the loving exchanges between Krishna and Radha like spectators at some sports show. We must feel separation from them. The more we feel separation, the more we should understand that we are advancing. With our material senses, we cannot see Krishna, nor can we even hear his name. We can begin to perceive him when we advance in devotional service. That devotional service begins with the tongue, not the legs, eyes, or ears. The tongue must be utilized to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And take Krishna Prasadam. Thus the tongue has a dual function. And by utilizing it in this way, we will realize Krishna. We cannot see Krishna with our material eyes, nor hear about him with material ears, nor touch him with our hands. But if we engage our tongue in his service, he will reveal himself, saying, "Here I am." Right, so when we go to Vrindavan, there's a difference between our experience and the experience of pure devotees. When we chant the holy name, there's a difference between our experience and the experience of self-realized souls. But, right, Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Bhavasa Sadhanabhida Nitya Siddhasya Bhavasya Prakritam Hridi Sadhyata. Right, that if you engage in this practice, Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Bhava Sadhana. If we do this sadhan with the intention, the activities, the kriti, to understand that our sadhya is bhav bhakti, and we perform sadhan for that, the activities of sadhan are actually the same as the activities of liberated souls. It's just a degree of realization. Right? And so we go through these different stages. And as Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj one time said, make us thoughtful, that the way you understand bhakti when you're in the Kanishta stage is very different than when you come into Madhyam. Right? And even within the Kanishta stage, there's gradation. But when you come into Madhyam and you begin to awaken taste for chanting the pure name, Ruchi, your understanding of the holy name and bhakti becomes extraordinarily greater, deeper than when we're doing, in this beginning stage. And when you come into asakti, or deep attachment, even more. And what to speak of bhav. That's when we really are doing bhakti. This nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakritam hridi sadhyata, when that which is eternally in the heart becomes awakened, that's bhav bhakti. Up until that time, we're doing bhakti abhas, a shadow of bhakti. Even in ruchi, even in asakti, it's an abhas. When we come to bhav, then real bhakti becomes awakened. So, just this short little commentary on this prayer to Srimati Radhika by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj that appeared in Volume 2 of The Rays of the Harmonist, published in 1998. Bhajami radham maravinda netram smarami radham majarasmitasyam vadami radham karuna badadram tato mamam yastastikatir nakapi. This is by Raghunath Das Goswami from his Sri Stavavali, Sri Vishaka Nandanabdi Stotram. I worship Srimati Radhika, who has lotus petal eyes. I remember Srimati Radhika, whose face is sweetly smiling, and I speak of her whose heart is melting with compassion. My life has no other purpose than serving her. These kind of prayers, enriched with the very deep moods of the authors, very important for us to sing and contemplate. Srila Narayan Maharaj is going to say about this. He said, I have heard from my Gurudev, from any Vaishnava, he means also from self-realized Vaishnavas in our line, that Sri Radha is so beautiful, so merciful, and so madhura, sweet. I pray to her feet. I have no qualification to hear all these things, but seeing the qualities of Srimati Radhika, I have dared to pray to her. And I know that she will hear me because she is Sarvagya, all-knowing. Certainly, she will hear. Bhajami radham aravinda netram. Aravinda netram means eyes like lotus petals. Why? because lotus petals are fragrant. They have a good smell and they are very soft. So soft. Here, soft means that if someone is in any distress or any difficulty and is weeping, then it softens Radharani's heart. And she certainly bestows her mercy upon them. So Raghunath Das is giving the example of a lotus. Her eyes are lotus-like. So if you want to attract the merciful glance of Srimati Radhika, we could pray like this. We can't pray with the deep love of Raghunath Das. But if we recite his prayers with great humility, right, that you've given this to us, you have shared your deep, deep moods, please allow me to follow in your footsteps. Let me become a servant of your intimate associates. Let me develop the same feeling towards Srimati Radhika that you do. Anurag means red. She is immersed in Krishna Anurag, deep attachment to Krishna. And the corners of her eyes are like a lotus, somewhat reddish. Sri Raghunath Das is saying, I want this kind of anurag to enter me. And you, Srimati Radhika, can make this happen. So in these words, there are some hidden meanings. We want this. I've told this story a million times, but it's very dear to me, and it's encouraging to all of us. It must have been 1998 in Badger, and Gurudev was there. Maybe 99, but he was speaking so wonderful about Krishna Lila, and telling us how we had to have this greed, that Raganuga Bhajan is our aspiration, but the only way you can get it is by intense greed to have it, right? Krishna Bhakti Bhavatamati Kriyatam Yadikatopi Labdyate Tattva Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janmakoti Sukratayana Labdyate. Brahmananda Roy says that if you can somehow or other acquire this very rarefied intelligence, this desire to be with Krishna, with greed, if that can enter into your heart, you should pay any price for it. But the real price, the only price, is greed to have it. It doesn't come by performing pious activities or even Vaidhi Bhakti for millions of lifetimes. Unless in Vaidhi Bhakti you've heard these subject matters and you awaken a greed specifically for them, you won't get it. So when sitting in class, when doing your seva, if that sentiment, that mindset can come to you even for a moment, focus on it, pray for it, let it, let your guru, let Radha and Krishna know this is what I want. Oh Srimati Radhika, Bhajami Radham Aravindanetram Smarami Radham Madhura Smitasyam. I am remembering your sweet smiling face. Smitasyam, right? Why is she smiling? She is in man, which can be a mood of pique or jealous anger, some way of being angry at Krishna for something, right? And Krishna is trying to pacify her, but she is not pleased. Radha tells Krishna, you cannot love anyone but me, no one else. Krishna does what Radha tells him, and she becomes pleased. Now she is smiling. I have conquered Krishna. He is doing everything I tell him to do. And why is she smiling? Because like us with some false ego, now I've conquered Krishna, I can control him, like we think? No. Because her mindset is, I know this gives Krishna such pleasure when he sees me angry like this. It thrills him, and then he tries so hard to overcome it and show his own cleverness and the depth of his love. It creates an opportunity for us to share love for each other in a very beautiful and interesting way. And now I've created this, and he's so happy, now I'm happy. That's what she's thinking. She is Madhura Smitasyam, sweetly smiling. She looks to the gopis as if to say, now I have conquered Krishna. He is so bhagyavat, feeling fully fortunate. Sri Raghunath Das is saying, I want to remember all these leelas. Vadami Radham Koruna Bharad Dharam. I am always uttering the name of Radha, who is always so merciful. She is always giving mercy to anyone who wants to serve her. Tato mamam yasti gatir nakapi. I have no goal except you. I have no one else but you to look to. I only want to serve you. There's no one but you. So, take these words of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. Try to keep them in your heart throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout your life. Sri Radhastami is coming. We want to fill our hearts with all of these moods and feelings so that on this day we can really appreciate it. Because again, on this day, we may not even have time for very much katha at all. We'll be so busy cooking, cleaning, running around, accommodating all the guests, right? Arranging for Abhishek, doing so many things. Gurudev says, oh, once in a while, maybe a tear will come, but mostly we get so busy. So why do we do these things? Right? Well, we're doing them to create a platform because 100, 150 people may be coming here, and we want to share this joy and this opportunity with them. That's why we put on such grand festivals. All right, so we will stop here. Very beautiful. How do I get here? Here we go. I'll close this. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Sri Guru Parampara ki jai.